Welcome and good morning to South Church Worship Service. I'm the Reverend Susan Suchocki Brown, and I am the interim minister here, and I am delighted that you are joining us this morning. We have a great worship service for you with lots of people who've participated, and we have a couple pieces of information for you as we're coming into the season of September and the fall. We're reminded that the water ingathering service happens. And we wanted to tell you that we're thinking about ways to have that happen virtually. So please continue to gather your water from those sacred and special places. And we know that you can reach out to, we want you to know that you can reach out to us at any time in any way. Email us, pop into office hours, be in touch with any of us. We don't want you to be out there feeling that you're not cared for and that you're alone. We're here for you, even in this virtual world. And in the virtual world of worship, we are fortunate to have worship associates that work with us. And this morning, I want to introduce you to Jonathan Cummings, our worship associate for today. Jonathan?
Good morning. My name is Jonathan Cummings, and as Susan mentioned, I'm one of a team of worship associates that assist with creating and providing services at South Church. Today's music is offered by Susan Adams and Cathy Okhuysen. Our Time for All Ages will be delivered by Jen Del Deo and Kirsten Hunter. And special thanks to Kirsten as well for editing our service and enabling our virtual congregating. Thank you for sharing your Sunday morning with us, and we invite everyone, first-time viewer or long-time member, to join us for a virtual social hour immediately after the service. You can ask any questions you have, reflect on the service with us, or just chat with a new or old friend. And welcome again to South Church.
The Social Justice Associates have weatherproof, nonpartisan voter registration signs available for sale. Signs can be purchased on the South Church website. Once purchased, please email Robin Schnell at r.harry.schnell@gmail.com to arrange pickup. Information can also be found in your Sunday morning email. Pocket Garden Tour tickets are available, and we need garden sitters. Tickets can be purchased, and you can sign up as a garden sitter on the South Church website. Information can also be found in your Sunday morning email. If you can't get to the website to purchase your tickets, they're also available at Rolling Hill Nursery, North Hill Nursery, Portsmouth Vacuum, the Flower Room in Dover, and the Wentworth Greenhouses. And the Spiritual Book Group is hosting a virtual tour of Light Southerly, Henry Stratter in Verde Valley, at the Ogunquit Museum of American Art. Following the tour, the book group will discuss Brave New World and its relationship to the exhibit. This event will happen on Wednesday, August 12th. You are also invited to join the South Church book group for their all-summer book read by reading The Soul of America, The Battle for Our Better Angels by John Meacham. This event will happen on Wednesday, September 9th. Please contact South Church Book Group at gmail.com for information on both of these events.
Building bridges between one another, I reach out to you. Will you reach out to me? With all of our voices and all of our visions, friends, we could make such sweet harmony. Building bridges between one another, I reach out to you. Will you reach out to me? With all of our voices and all of our visions, friends, we could make such sweet harmony.
Can't wait for things to go back to normal. It's a sentiment common to our times. Wouldn't we all love things to go back to normal? However, I cringe a little bit inside every time I hear the word normal. Partly, this is from years of applying statistics and learning how to sample from distributions like the normal to make predictions and thinking about all of the hours of struggling with the associated computer code. Interestingly, the word normal in human parlance spread from its mathematical usage, describing the breadth of human traits, such as the span of one's hand. There isn't any particular benefit in having an average hand span. However, as the concept spread, the center of the normal curve, or normal distribution, average, rather than something that just happens to exist, became viewed as something desirable. Mostly, my annoyance with the word normal results from this idea that normal is something to aspire towards. I'm not, and I don't think anyone is normal. At least certainly not in all ways. In fact, most of my favorite things and favorite people I enjoy not because they are normal, but because of the ways in which they are different. There's an even more perverse issue with the use of normal in phrases like go back to normal or return to normal, I think. I can't help hearing things like make America great again in those phrases. I recently imagined myself being in 2020 and having just celebrated my 16th rather than my 38th birthday. I documented for myself what I imagined would be the major newsworthy events of my life. I invite you to do the same, or better yet, ask a 16-year-old what events have felt newsworthy and have established what is normal for them. To our senior youth, I am very interested in hearing your perspective. Here's what I imagine would seem normal. Counting down from 12, the number of years left to address climate change. We're now at 10. Hearing story after story from the Me Too movement. Same-sex marriage. The struggle to acknowledge and actualize the Black Lives Matter. All normal. Extreme wildfires, like in California, Brazil, and Australia. No longer extreme. Normal. Maybe even impeachment and presidential fascism would seem normal. COVID-19. Starting to feel normal? Perhaps not. But what about a concern that the U.S. may be closer to becoming a failed state than a celebrated global superpower? What was the normal that you want to return to? And is it actually a desirable state of being? Was the commonplace of before really desirable? Was it collectively desirable? As we continue to consider collective liberation, I offer that we should liberate ourselves from the pursuit of normal, either in ourselves or in our nostalgia for the world theme of aging. Perhaps we should try to liberate ourselves from normal as desirable entirely and use common in our parlance instead. I offer that we should view our collective not as a movement towards homogeneity, but a collective recognition of how things work because of heterogeneity. May we go forth with a recognition that the normal for some in our collective is not something to go back to, return to, or make again. It is something to continue to improve, strive beyond, and rise above. I offer these two quotes as we light our chalices today. From George Suchocki, internment camp survivor. Yes, I remember the barbed wire and the guard towers and the machine guns, but they became part of my normal landscape. What would be abnormal in normal times became my normality in camp. And from Rosa Luxemburg, those who do not move do not notice their change. Please join me in reciting and aspiring to practice our mission statement. At South Church, we nurture spiritual growth through worship, learning, and community. We celebrate the worth and dignity of all people. We inspire one another to act on our faith in the larger community.
Good morning, everybody. It's so nice to see you all. We have a really fun story for you today, written mostly by Jen Del Deo. It's called The Perfect Party.
Archer got invited to his best friend Onyx's birthday party. Archer really loved his friend and wanted it to be a really special day. He decided to make a beautiful gift by hand sculpting a clay statue of a crow, which was Onyx's favorite bird. It took a long time because Archer wanted it to be just perfect. He also picked out his favorite outfit and made sure it was clean and wrinkle-free, and he laid it all out the night before the big day.
Meanwhile, at Onyx's house, party decorations were put up, food was prepared, and games were planned. She couldn't wait to celebrate with her friends, and most especially with Archer, who had been her bestie for a very long time. She had butterflies of nervous excitement in her belly as it got closer to party time.
On the morning of the party, Archer was putting some final details on the clay bird when it slipped out of his hands and fell, which broke one of the wings. This was awful, and Archer cried a little bit. He ran to the drawer where the family kept things like glue, and all he could find was glue that had silver glitter in it. It was already party time, and Archer was going to be late.
Guests had started to arrive at the party. Onyx was happy to see them, but she kept looking for Archer. Where was he? Wasn't he excited to come to the party? The kids were snacking and asking to start the games, but Onyx didn't want to start anything without Archer. She was feeling more and more nervous.
Back at Archer's house, the glitter glue was the only solution. So he really carefully squeezed the glue all down the broken edge of the bird wing and put it back together. The silver glitter showed, and Archer was really disappointed that his perfect gift was ruined. He set it aside to dry while he went to put on his special outfit. And when he got to his bedroom, he saw that the family cat had walked across the front of his shirt and made little dirty footprints on it. Oh no! He couldn't show up to his best friend's party with cat paws on his shirt. He ran to the bathroom and got a wet cloth and started wiping the paw prints, but that only smudged them and it made the shirt look worse.
Well, at the party, they couldn't wait any longer and they started playing the games. Most of the kids were having a great time, but Onyx wasn't really. She was distracted. She went back and forth between being worried about something having happened to her friend and mad that maybe Archer had just forgotten.
Archer looked at the clock. He was so late and so upset. He had no choice but to quickly put on the messy shirt and quickly wrap the broken gift and get to the party before it would be over. He rode his bike as fast as he could to Onyx's house and ran into the party, his hair all sweaty and messy and his dirty shirt and his heart really heavy.
When Onyx looked up, she saw her dear buddy and a huge smile lit up her face. She didn't see anything messy or broken. She just saw that her party had suddenly become really fun. She ran over to Archer and gave him a big hug. "I'm so glad you made it. Are you okay?"
Archer said he was really sorry for being dirty. He was sorry to have messy hair. He was sorry to give his friend a broken gift, and he was sorry for ruining the party. I just wanted your day to be perfect.
It is perfect now that you're here. You didn't ruin the party. You made it great because you're here now. I've been sad, but now I'm ready for fun. And I like that you're a little messy today because that's how I am a lot of the time. It was true. Onyx had hair that liked to stick up everywhere, and she loved activities that were messy, which even showed right now there was paint on her arm from some earlier project. Thank you for being here. It's my favorite part of my birthday, Archer.
Archer realized that all the things he tried to do to make Onyx's day perfect were not as important as just showing up. He didn't need to do or be anything flawless. He just had to be there for his friend. He was feeling so much better and even stopped worrying about the broken wing on the bird statue he'd made. He watched as Onyx opened the package, smiling at his dear friend.
Onyx pulled the bird out of the package and she gasped. "It's so beautiful," she said. "And look, it has a beautiful silver lining."
I don't know about all of you, but I've noticed that the past few months have been a little different than I'd expected them to be. Sometimes it's hard to let go of how we imagine things are supposed to be, and when we hold on to expectations too tightly, we sometimes miss out on other opportunities that are available to us. It's great when everything happens just how you want it to be, but don't forget, the most important thing is to find ways to be with the people you love, even if those ways aren't exactly how you imagined it.
Speaking of people we love, we are sending our love to all of you every day in the best ways we can. Embrace this imperfect day, and we'll see you soon.
Today's offering, as indicated in the video, can be given using the South Church website. Our offering this month is being shared with Crossroads House. Crossroads House provides emergency and transitional shelter to homeless men, women, and children in the New Hampshire Seacoast area. In 2019, they provided 34,124 bed nights shelter to 446 people, including 30 families with 62 children. Their emergency shelter is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Please give as you are able.
I invite you to breathe deep, take a breath. Invite you into a moment of prayer with me. Holy One of Blessing, we are grateful for the opportunity to be with one another. We are grateful for the opportunity to listen to music together, to hear stories, to see the ways that this wonderful community keeps connections, even in the midst of a time when everything seems to be breaking apart. We know that we've made mistakes. We know that we've forgotten people. We know that we've gotten busy in the hustle and bustle, and we know all of that. But this time of prayer gives us an opportunity to think about that, to think about those who are alone, those who have pain, those who have struggles, those who hurt, those who have suffered loss, those who are ill, and those who are recovering. It is good to take a moment of prayer and just think, just breathe, just be. To be grateful for all that we do have. To remember that it is our connection with one another that helps us get through the days, the nights, the good times and the bad. So breathe, breathe and let your heart be full. And know that we are thinking of you, and we invite you to enter your prayer concerns, your troubles that you're holding, the ways that we can help you in that chat. That's our way of talking with you, of being in touch. So take a moment as you listen to the music and watch a soothing video to express your concerns. And know, please know, that we are here for you. May love surround you and your loved ones. Blessed be. There's no such thing, never has been, nor will there ever be a perfect place or person. Aidan Ballou, an early Universalist and a cousin of the founding figure of Universalism, Hosea Ballou, tried, as did Bronson Alcott, to build utopian communities, one in Hopedale, Massachusetts, and the other in Harvard, Massachusetts. And all attempts at building utopian paradises fail because of human agency and human actions, because humans mess it up. How, you ask? By asking questions, by imagining more and different approaches, by exploring what ifs, by wondering if so and how and why. In a word, by exercising that amazing human trait, free will. In fact, if we stand the myth of the Garden of Eden on its head, I can see that the story is meant actually to affirm human agency, to affirm the exercise of free will, not to label humans as good or evil or sinners, but as beings who have and have always had the ability to raise questions, have wonderments, and will always want the ability to choose. When Adam and Eve chose, and why did they choose? They chose not to remain in total dependency upon an allegedly beneficent force, but to gain the wisdom to ascertain the wisdom to know the difference between good and bad. And what were the results of that choice? They were the realization that life is hard, that struggle, strife, pain, and challenge come along with living, and that families and clans and groups must interact with one another. Admittedly, Genesis story from the Old Testament or Hebrew scriptures is the mythical story of a clan descending from Adam and Eve, trying to attempt to get along with others. They sometimes did this very poorly. And over the reminder in these ancient stories is that the more the clans attempted to isolate, to control, to take over rather than work with others, the more strife, war, and turmoil came into their lives. For me, the whole story of Adam and Eve is about and supports the exercise of free will, the innate and indisputable trait that makes us humans human. The myth also exposes the reality of being human. Life is hard. It is loss, it is pain, it is struggle, and the end is death. But as Unitarian Universalists, our collective liberation is not found by imagining or looking at the end, but by looking at how we can use the gifts of free will to make the world better here and now. Not a perfect world, not an idealized world, not working with all the muck and the mud and the messiness, using all of our traits and skills with one another, not to seek perfection, but connection and relatedness, where we find the strength, courage, fortitude to continue on in spite of what life deals us. We carry on because we explore options, we make mistakes, we bungle and bump up against life. And most of all, we get on because of the communities, the units we are a part of. The building, the forging, and forming of connections with others is a process that helps, if not heal us, at least offers pathways for spiritual, psychic, emotional growth and or transformation through deeper connections. And my desire is for us to challenge and give up a notion that there is an ideal being, time, place. When those mythical beings, Adam and Eve, made a choice to experience, experiment, imagine, even while knowing that that exercise of free will would bring about trouble, they created an interdependence with one another, which led to a widening circle of human interaction and connection. Adam and Eve made a choice, and it was not about being good or bad humans. It was about gaining the knowledge of what is good and bad. Metaphorically, they gained the ability to discern, to learn, and gain wisdom through experiences. The unfolding story of human existence was a result of the exercise of free will. It led to the beginning of family, which became a larger unit, and then a clan, a group of related folks who had to learn how to interact with other clans and groups. So let this cautionary myth be a reminder that if we stay closed off, or if we keep members of our family or clan around us only, who we imagine are just like us, we run the risk of becoming closed, isolated, territorial, and insulated. But just the opposite of what we now know is the healthiest interconnectedness. The Eden myth of perfection is, in my opinion, a cautionary tale against reliance on the smallest unit of existence, and that impedes relationships across barriers and boundaries. Because we have free will, we can and we do good or bad. And that is why we need models and mentors, churches and structures within which we can learn ways of acting healthy and of making corrections when we act badly. It is the Unitarian Universalist way to allow and in fact, to encourage explorations while striving to provide an environment where we can discuss, learn, worship, and transform. Do you remember the movie The Truman Show, when the character played by Jim Carrey has lived his entire life in a giant Hollywood dome in a perfect little bubble where his whole life was formed and framed, dependent and totally controlled by external and powerful forces? It was only when he began to question and to wonder that he was able to gain selfhood and develop deeply meaningful relationships. And until we interact with others, until we break out of our bubble of idealized Eden, we are stuck. And imagination, creativity, and connections will be prescribed by others. Do you want to live in a perfection play? I was remembering an experience when I went to China in 2008, the opportunity for a 10-day trip offered through the Central Mass Chamber of Commerce came up. The price was exceptionally reasonable. All accommodations would be arranged, and all travel and tours with an English-speaking guide were a part of it. The director of the chamber and his spouse had gone first, and they assured me it was safe, very comfortable, and interesting. So I encouraged my best friend to travel with me. We knew that because it was a commerce tour, we would be visiting businesses and industries in China. And both of us are UU ministers, so we figured it would be enlightening to see and learn about a people and a culture and the business practices that we knew nothing about. And two stories came to mind when I was thinking about connection, not perfection. A major goal of the Chinese government, which had control over the chamber tours, was to project an image of perfection. The jade factory workers and shopping, the herbalist, which is the pharmaceutical industry, workers and shopping, the tree farm workers and shopping, each projected an ideal concept. But there was a reveal, the reveal at the silk factory. By this point, all 14 of us on the tour knew the routine: breakfast and be at the bus by 7:30 a.m. and then have a guided ride to the factories to see the best run industries providing jobs so that every citizen, our tour guide informed us, could have a job. He assured us in China and Beijing, where we were, there was no unemployment, even if the elderly, stooped, bent over woman had a job of sweeping the intersection of the major highway as vehicles and bicycles whizzed by her at dangerous and dizzying speed. She was paid. She had a job, he assured us. And we knew that after each visit to a factory, we would be ushered into the government-run store and be given the opportunity to buy the goods. One of our tours was at the silk factory. We pulled into a perfectly clean parking lot and were greeted by a perfectly poised hostess, just as was with every other tour. The tour was fascinating, and each step of making silk was precisely explained. We moved through stations with workers that demonstrated separating the threads the silkworms had spun, and we moved through stations which demonstrated how these threads were woven together to be prepared for drying and dyeing and weaving. And we watched as workers hustled and bustled around us, preparing and weaving cloth and silk fans and screens, and the picture that was at the front of the order of service. They truly are works of art. The tour followed a path and a prescribed order, and within 30 minutes, we were corralled toward the shopping area. Now, my friend and I had to use the bathroom, and we had spotted one in the entryway when we first came in. And so rather than following the group to go shopping area, we decided we would walk back through the industry factory to the facilities. We couldn't have been more than 5 minutes from the end of the production display to the shopping tour when we turned back. And we were shocked to see that not one single person, not one single worker was left in the area. Everything was abandoned, covered over, and totally devoid of any living being. The perfect environment. And the enterprise we had just witnessed moments ago was a stage show, a make-believe place. Perfection, yes, but not a single connection to the workers who needed a job, but whose hour of labor was staged for showing a perfect setting for observers. No connection to the life of each other, to family, or the larger community. A perfect picture, but when peeled back, an empty shell. And I often use and think of that experience when I think of institutions, organizations, groups, and churches. Do I want the appearance of perfection, or do I want the messiness and imperfection of connections? Do I want everything arranged in perfect appearance, or do I want to explore, question, challenge, learn, interact? You know my answer. I want the exercise of free will. I even want the brokenness, the mistakes, the struggles. And yes, even the pain is better than an empty shell. How else can I grow? How else can I learn to be a human being living with others, or how to challenge when systems try to box me into an idealized view of something? And that reminds me of my second story. Going back into that production space and seeing that the workers were being exploited to entertain us, and that we were being used as a setup to go into the store to buy things, awoke a part of me that will confront justices in ways that I can when I see them. The next day we were due to tour a rug factory, and of course to go to the store. When we got on the bus before our tour guide joined the group, I had an idea. From now on, I said, rather than hanging around the store till our guide lets us out, we could just walk in, out to the bus. However, if anyone wanted to buy something, we'd make a commitment to stay with that person until they signaled us that the transaction was done. And then we would all move en masse out to the bus. It worked well at the rug factory where no one was buying, and in every store thereafter, we had our signals down pat, so we were not at the mercy of those trying to make us buy goods we did not want, or that was exploiting the workers. Our connection as community led us to confront at least some injustices, and it did not disempower the tour guide or put him in harm's way, for after all, he too was at the mercy of a system that intended to control. And this is one of the wonderful things about community. They're not perfect, but they can support one another when necessary, or challenge when needed, and can imagine new ways of acting and being if the group functions from a larger vision. And finally, I want to share about termites. Yeah, termites as a model of communities functioning well together. Lewis Thomas, a research pathologist, likes to use examples found in nature to illustrate interrelatedness and the connectedness between oneness and community. He believes the termite to be one of the 7 wonders of the natural world. Thomas says a single solitary termite, functionally speaking, is nothing at all. It has no purpose, no reason to exist. Even 2 or 3 termites gathered together on a dish are no better. He says they just run around, knocking each other about, and nothing happens. But he reports, if you keep adding more termites, they will reach a critical mass, and then something extraordinary occurs. They are not just individuals touching each other, but they become a cohesive unit that begins to stack up pellets to precisely the right height, to build the arches that connect the columns, that forms the chamber in which the colony will live out its life in a healthy, safe environment that sustains him. He says, they are not the dense mass of individual insects they appear to be, but an organism, a thoughtful, meditative brain on 1,000,000 legs. They are the organic structure that comes together to form a functioning community in which to grow, change, live, and become. Church is like this. It is not a perfect place, yet it is a place that has an internal structure, an organism on 1,000,000 legs, guided by a mission and a vision, held together by staff and board and members and committees that function together to form and build a unit of nurture, a place to challenge one another, to confront any unhealthy assumptions about how things should be. It is a place in which to live and move, breathe and be. Is any church perfect? No, because it is made up of humans who should value connection more than perfection. So let us strive to build together a place to be connected, a place to offer support, challenge, nurture, and compassion. We do need one another, so let us be about that sacred task. May it be so.
extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
Our service is ended, but not being together, not continuing to work to fight against injustices, not our intentions to build a community, and certainly not our intentions to bring our Unitarian Universalist message of hope and love, compassion out into the larger world. It is now our time, our turn to go out and love the world in spite of all the imperfections that are in it. May you have peace this week. May you know love. Go in love. Amen.